All right, so let's talk about my eBay challenges. If you've been following along, you know I've been running this experiment, kind of seeing how much I could generate on a part-time basis on eBay. And one year, this was super successful. This is year 4 of me doing this. I used to be a full-time eBay seller, but I stepped away to pursue opening a physical brick and mortar vintage store in my hometown. And I jumped back into eBay, but I jumped back in it in a different way. I started doing it part-time. I would only do eBay a couple of days a week, couple hours, focus heavily on, trying to find quality vintage stuff that I could resell in auction format, not so much in buy it now format. And so this is year 4 of me taking this kind of approach. This last year, this year 3 was pretty eye-opening, and I want to tell you why it was eye-opening. I made some good money, but I figured out what to do and what not to do going forward. In this video, I want to break down the lessons I learned. I'll break down my selling strategy, what I want to do different for 2025. I guess I want to talk about my key takeaways from what made last year feel successful for me. Even though I didn't hit $50,000 in sales, I did $48,000 part-time on eBay. And I think ultimately, like most people, if you can figure out a way that you can make $500 to $2,000 on a part-time basis doing anything, that's a nice little side hustle. I think most people will be okay with that. Start with some numbers right now for January of 2025. Let's see here so far. So far for January, I sold 65 items in January with an average selling price of $88.79, with a total sales of $5,771.09. After eBay take their cut, they took $1,637.92 for fees. That nets me $3,791.60. Here's the kicker for me. 92% of the people that bought from me in January were actually new buyers. I like that stat. Most people would be like, oh, I want repeat buyers. I understand that. I want repeat buyers. But I look at this stat and I say, you know what? This means eBay is still getting new buyers to see my stuff, right? Because I'm only running auctions. These aren't repeat buyers. I need new eyes, fresh eyes to see my stuff every single time I list it. And so that lets me know that eBay is doing what they're supposed to be doing on their end. I know some people go eat me up. Everybody's got complaints about platforms. Everybody's going to complain about platforms. What I'm trying to do is not try to change what you're doing. I'm just trying to show you a way that maybe this platform will be a little bit more manageable and not feel so stressful to sell on. I do get asked this a lot. I start most of my auctions and my items that I sell on eBay, I start them at 99 cents. What? And that's just how I do it. Some people like to start their items a little higher. I start all my stuff at 99 cents. What people want to know is, do you sell items at 99 cents? Yes, it does happen. It happens sometimes. For example, last month, out of the 65 items that I sold, 2 items sold for 99 cents. So I'll take that. All right. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen because what I'm doing is I'm focused on high quality, unusual, and hard to find vintage collectibles. So the market is going to dictate the value of the items, but I don't worry about them going for 99 cents because I know that the market can tell that this item is of value and they will drive it up. It is a risky strategy and it ain't for everybody, but it seems to work very well for me. I think back to what worked well for me in 2024 is what's worked well for me as long as I've been reselling on eBay, honestly, is running online auctions. It's just the way that works best for me. I just can't even stress. It's just the best way for me, honestly. I've never been a buy it now person on eBay. I tried it at the beginning of my years on eBay and it just does not work for me. I don't have the patience to deal with the best offers and waiting for people to sell. I have a warehouse and my warehouse is full of things that I can auction off. When I transitioned, at a certain point, when I transitioned from just being an eBay seller into being a live auctioneer and being a licensed auctioneer, my mentality completely switched. And let me explain this. My warehouse is full of things that I can auction off. things that I can sell at any given time. It's not the most popular opinion. Everybody wants to have this store inventory with this philosophy, and I understand. Like, people want sales every day, right? They want sales every single day. They want to hear their notification go off, and I just don't buy into that philosophy. And that's just me. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. There is a lot of people that's successful with doing store inventory. The auctions work for me. They just do. It keeps the engagement high. It builds momentum. It ensures stuff sells consistently for me. Every time I list, this is why my philosophy works. This is why my part-time concept works. Is because every time I list, those 2-3 hours are so impactful, because everything I list is gonna sell. Not a good chunk of it. I shouldn't say everything, but look, you can look at my sold inventory. A good chunk of what I list is gonna sell. And so it makes every time I touch this platform more meaningful than just feeding a machine that charges me every month for keeping it in store inventory. That's crazy to me too. So I can't get past that piece of it. When I list, I'll take them fees that they charge me because I know I'm gonna sell it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, understand too, I said this in my last video when I recapped for 2024, I understand that selling in the right categories is going to be very instrumental to me keeping this sustainable. And so I'm focused heavily toys and collectibles. I'm focused heavily on jewelry. Is one musical instrument slipped in there this month for January, because I bought a musical instrument deal. And so anytime I do that, I'll run all the pieces at one time, not in one lot, but I'll run them in the same week so that I can basically say we have more pieces from this same collection. That's one thing that works really good for me too, is I try to do batch listing. So if I'm gonna list toys, I list all toys. If I'm gonna list jewelry, I list all jewelry. If I'm gonna list all instruments. And I try to do those in batches. So 2-3 hours, that's one particular niche. And that's why I like picking one niche, just focusing on toys for 2025 heavily is going to help me streamline and make this even more sustainable on a part-time basis, because I am just focused on that one area. I don't have to do so much research. I don't have to think about different box sizes. I don't have to think about different categories. It's going to be a lot of duplicate listings from week to week. You follow me, you see where this is going. To streamline when you sell collectibles or things that aren't new in the package. You have to figure out ways to make it streamline the whole process. And so for myself, to do that, to streamline my process, I'm going to have to focus heavy on selling like items. And so toys and collectibles and toys and hobbies are going to continuously be my top selling categories. I know that because that's where I'm focused on for eBay. Here's a quick breakdown of how my eBay process works and how I list on eBay. And again, this is what works for me. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing what works for me. All right. So I sit down, I list. This is my desk. I'm actually at my desk in my office. I list 2 to 3 hours a day, 2 to 3 hours per session a day. And I'm only doing this for 2 weeks. So I might do 1 week where I do 2 days and I do 3 hours each day, right? The next week, I might do the full 3 days and do 2 hours each day. I might do 1 day and do 3 hours. So the whole thing is I gotta do a minimum of 2 days for this to work, right? I gotta do a minimum of 2 days each week for this to work. That can be 30 items a week to 50 items to 60 items to 70 items, depending on what it is that I'm listing. But it's usually about 25 to 30 items guaranteed to sell every single time that I'm gonna do this process. That's the key. As you can see, last month we sold 65 items. It makes sense with what I just said, basically. 2-3 weeks, you should get 65 items is kind of what I need to get out of this. That's my process. Of course, you got to add a little bit more time for shipping, but because I'm shipping such small items, you can probably add another 2 to 3 hours onto that whole process. It's usually done very fast. I'm not sticking more than 20 hours a month into something like this. And that's my process. It's nothing fancy. It's not rocket science. Like, I promise y'all, it's time management and focused on quality items in that time to make sure that my time is spent at the most it's spent wisely. Last year, my average selling price was $60.45 for the whole year. and I sold 797 items, right? This year in January alone, my average selling price is at $88.79, right? If I keep selling at this same high average selling price, this is what I'm saying. Quality over quantity wins. It wins. I could sell the exact same number of stuff that I sold last year, and I would go from 48,000 up to 70,000 in sales. Quality wins. I'm telling you. I used to own an auction house, I owned a pawn shop, and I make more money now focused on a very specific niche at my vintage store. I focus on mid-century modern. We are voted the best vintage store in Wisconsin by Apartment Therapy, Domino Magazine, Shepherd Express. I can go on and down the list. Focused on a niche, reselling, transformed my entire business. It made me look at the whole industry completely different. I make more money now than I ever did owning a pawn shop and owning an auction company combined.
Wow.
So when somebody gets on here and they say, oh, buy and sell everything so you can make some money here and there, I'm going to tell you straight up, they don't know what the hell they talking about. They working too hard for the money. Seriously, because I just think that it's a recipe for burnout, especially if this is something that you're doing on your own. Now, if this is something that you're trying to scale and you got a warehouse and you got a team of people, it can still lead to burnout, but it's not something that's going to burn you personally out because you're chasing any and everything. If you're talking about trying to be an average reseller, the person that wants to make $500 to $2,000, the person that wants to make $2,000 to $5,000, $5,000 to $10,000, I'm telling you straight up, you need to figure out something that you actually enjoy reselling or something that you don't find a chore to deal with and focus heavy on that stuff. Dive deep into that stuff. And then the money's going to come and it's not going to feel like work because you're dealing with stuff that you actually enjoy reselling. I can't say it no clearer. A lot of people ain't going to like that part. A lot of that shit going to go over people's head. Mainly, they can't see past that. All they can see is the fact that, oh, I can make $1 on that. I can make $5 on that. Sometimes the low hanging fruit, no, it ain't even sometimes. Leave the low hanging fruit. Leave it. Get that shit out your life. It's 2025. We don't need to be reselling low-hanging fruit. We just don't. Scare money don't make no money. All right, I do want to talk about what didn't work for me, right? And hands down, not scheduling time out for this side hustle did not work for me. There was months that life was just lifing and I couldn't squeeze it in. And that was because in my head, I'm always like, oh, it's only 2-3 hours. I could do that real quick. It's only 2-3 hours. I could do that real quick. And you can't do that. If it's a side hustle, you have to figure out when you can squeeze it in. And what I figured out is the time of day is what matters most for me. So trying to do it in the morning or trying to do eBay in the afternoon, it just doesn't make sense for me. Most of my business dealings and meetings and estate picks and things of that nature happen during the day. I need that prime 8 to 5 hours to get my other business, keep that flowing and going. So I found that the evening is when it's going to be best for me. Go down to the day when it's going to be best for me. A Monday, Tuesday, 5 to 7, 5 to 8, or 6 to 8, something like that. Those are the times that work best for me. Knock it out early in the week. When things come up during the week, I don't got to worry about trying to get this done. We've made the adjustments for 2025 already by zeroing in on the days, Monday, Tuesday. Knock it out Monday, Tuesday. Do your 2-3 hours. There you go. You're done. Life does get busy. Biggest challenge is juggling eBay with everything else that I got going on in my world for BC Modern. Whether it's our BC Modern events, it can be design jobs, it can be buyouts. We recently launched our online auction company through High Bid Auctions. So juggling everything that's got to go on with BC Modern and trying to make sure that this doesn't take over or interfere with my breadwinning business. So that's definitely a challenge, and it's been a challenge, and because it is addicting. It does become addicting. Reselling is an addicting business. It's to be able to take something from 1 to 20, from 1 to 100, to be able to take these things and turn them into money, it becomes very addicting. And sites like eBay, they can have that power over you where it makes you feel like you have to keep doing it, you have to keep going. And so I have to keep focused on the fact that this is the side hustle. This is not my full time anymore. And it always calls me back though, because I used to be a full-time eBay seller. So it's just a delicate balance. And I just want to show a way this can be done, and it can be done without the issues that most people have to experience with reselling on eBay. Before I end the video, I do want to give you some actionable tips that I may have or may not have discussed before in any video that I've done. And my first actionable tip that most people should do to set themselves up for success is pre-sorting your inventory. I pre-sort my inventory. When I get a box of stuff, this is eBay stuff, this is my shop stuff, and this is for our online auctions. This gets donated. Everything that I bring in gets pre-sorted. And that helps with eBay so that I know that, bam, I can knock out batch listings that way by pre-sorting things and putting them in categories, or just pre-sorting ahead of time and knowing that these are things that are going to go on eBay. In my warehouse, you got a pile of boxes over here, you got a pile of furniture, you got a pile of clothes, and you got shelves. And all the shelves are set up to house certain items. Some are online auctions for our store, some are inventory for our store, our physical brick and mortar store, and then there is a section that's just for eBay. eBay section, I know that at any given time, because I've already pre-sorted the stuff that's come out of the boxes, and I can go over to that shelf and I can grab anything off that shelf and I can list it on eBay, right? So pre-sorting is huge. It'll help you speed up your process. I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. Stay away from the low-hanging fruit. Just leave it alone. We're done with the $5 to $10 flips. We're done with that. Find yourself a minimum that you're going to be comfortable reselling it. $20, $25, $30. And stop thinking that just because if I pass on these three $10 items, I'm not going to find one that I can resell for $30. Stop thinking that, because once you start looking for that stuff, you're going to start finding that stuff. I guarantee that's what's going to start to happen, because you're going to stop seeing everything else and your eyes are going to literally only see the stuff that you're looking for. Does it take time? Absolutely, it takes time. It's going to be one of the hardest things for most people to do, is to start to level up what they're trying to find so that their average selling price goes up higher. The only thing that works really well with reselling, especially on a part-time basis, is getting a good average selling price. That's all that matters. When I look at what sells in my store, how many items did we sell? What is our average selling price? When I did my live auctions, it was the same thing. How many lots did we sell tonight? What was our average selling price? Online auctions, whether it's through eBay, whether it's through whatnot, wherever you're reselling at, your average selling price is driving every damn thing that you do. If you can get that up higher, you'll be able to work a lot less to get the same amount of money, if not more. Just saying. Lastly, know your numbers. Don't be just thinking like, oh, I'm doing good or I'm making money. Know your numbers. Seriously, by increasing my average selling price by $28, my total revenue for 1 year by selling the same amount of items I did last year can go from $48,000 to $70,000. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you need to know at any given time about your business. Real talk. Learn to stick to a listing routine. I said in this video, I'm gonna stick to mine Monday, Tuesday, 2 to 3 hours. It gets it done early in the week. If I could even move it to Saturday, Sunday, that'd be even better. Learn to create some kind of listing routine. Start to create routines for yourself. And remember, if you're dealing with the things that you actually enjoy dealing with, you're going to be excited to work, right? When I know I'm a list and I know I just got a toy deal or something like that, I'm excited to go through the boxes. You feel where I'm going with this? You got to find ways to make this enjoyable. Most people get up and they go to a job that they hate every single day. Why would you do a side hustle that you also hate every single day? Make it make sense. All right, so those are some of my biggest lessons learned for 2024. It's a couple things I'm going to implement for 2025. We're going to stick with the same goal. 50,000 is the goal. That's what we're going to try to hit for 2025. We're going to keep it on a part-time basis. I'm not going to try to kill myself, but that's what I'm committing to. Is I'm going to commit to $50,000 a year on a part-time basis from reselling on eBay, and I'll continue to document the journey. If you guys got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments section. If you're thinking about going full-time, thinking about going part-time, or even just starting the journey, I hope that this video gives you a little bit of insights. It gives you a different way of looking at maybe approaching reselling on eBay. Let me know in the comments what's your biggest struggle right now with your reselling business, and maybe I can try to give you some help, give you some insight from my point of view, what could help or be what's holding you back. If you got any kind of value out the video, please don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video and subscribe, please. That'd be good. And I'll try to keep giving you some more behind the scenes reselling content. See you on the next one.